Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back here with part three of Dyslexia Thursdays, as I call it. Um, Hope people out there enjoy it. Especially those with dyslexia. Can't really think of much else to say for the intro, but for Thursdays, I like to focus on politics and goal setting. So I normally used to watch the political show pretty religiously, like every week. Uh, um, Question Time, it's called, and I suppose I decided to do this instead tonight. So anyway, I'm going to crack on with the list of my thoughts. So I hope you enjoy it, as I say, and I hope this works out. But as ever, I'd love to have your feedback. Once again, I'm recording it on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I don't know what happened last time. I think I might have forgot to press go live on YouTube or something like that, or maybe I hope it does record properly because I know I'm focusing on my Facebook page. So I hope the YouTube one records. Otherwise, I'll have to share the link of this on there. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling, and here goes. So number 21, I forgot to say in part two, point number 11. I'd love to find out from dyslexics like what you would change about uh, so like maybe how teachers might understand you, or how society would work. Is there anything you would change about the world? There are certain things I would change about the world. There's quite a few. I probably have another one of my 40-point list videos on that, or 40-point lists on that. But it's not always just dyslexia related in that regard. But there's a lot of things I must admit I've changed about the world. Um, Mainly like things that make people suffer and stuff like that. Change those sorts of things. But anyway, that's for another time. But I'd love to know from my fellow dyslexics like what you would change about the world. I know I do these videos in 4 parts. I was just thinking about. Anyway, another thing that I was thinking about, the number 21, is if I could have planned and organised this month better, or found a way to get Made by Dyslexia, the Dyslexic Advantage, and all other possible organisations that deal with dyslexia, such as the Yale Centre for Dyslexia and Creativity, the Child Institute, Understood, and others, and dyslexic individuals as well. If I could get them all, if I could have got them all together, I would have tried to organise like Zoom meetings, meetings in person, physical meetings, so to speak, physical meetups, rather than just online interviews, and also traveling. Traveling to different countries. I would have travelled to, or at least organised a date when we would have travelled to Italy and shared our ideas as dyslexics, like what we could contribute as managers, coaches, players, and whatnot. What tactics, for instance, we could contribute. If I could have been more organised, but I hope to get a date set for those sorts of things, preferably, hopefully ASAP, if I can ever get it together. And also to Celtic, to work with Celtic in Glasgow, and maybe even like Celtic scouts or people involved with Celtic all around the world, including like helping Celtic to improve its brand value all around the world, and like get more people to find out about Celtic FC, similar as I say with the town football, and promoting more ideas on that sort of thing, and my dyslexic creative ideas, and also maybe organise like getting a room for dyslexics to create our creative projects and stuff like that, and also gone to parts of Africa, Asia, Ireland, and what I call the six, really like, especially emerging market economies and former colonies, like all possible parts of Africa, Asia, Ireland, and Latin America. I suppose really. I suppose that's 4 different places, but many different nations. So I'm not very well explaining this, but anyhow, moving on that note, number 22. I hope to do so in the future, and I hope things change for dyslexics in the best possible way all around the world in the future. But again, as soon as possible, I hope to put together dyslexic individuals, Made by Dyslexia, the Dyslexic Advantage, the Yale Centre for Dyslexia and Creativity, the Child Institute, Understood, and all other possible dyslexia organisations, or even neurodiversity organisations. But I know I'm focusing mainly on dyslexia. But I'd love to put those groups together ASAP and have like interviews, Zoom groups, meetups, basically to put it simply, and also part of that like traveling groups, and go to, I suppose I mentioned, like Italy, and talk about what we could do as managers, players, tacticians, and that kind of thing. And again, showcase what we can do for Celtic and what we can do for African countries, Asian nations, Ireland, and Latin America. I'd love for us to host events, for instance, like what Made by Dyslexia and the Dyslexia Advantage have hosted in and across Sweden, America, and the UK. I would love to host those events. I'd love for people from Nigeria, Cameroon, Kenya, and elsewhere to find out about those events from all over Africa and Asia, and hopefully think to themselves, "Oh, it'd be interesting to have those events." I'd love for Made by Dyslexia and the rest of those organisations I talked about to get in touch with politicians and whatnot in those countries to talk about what we could contribute as dyslexics, like in terms of security, in terms of improving their economies, and all sorts of things like that. So it would be interesting to see how hopefully we can change perceptions in those nations, and hopefully, as I say, things will change for the better, and people will understand more about dyslexia and dyslexics in the future, all being well. A lot of people talk about the world getting worse in many ways, but I think that is kind of true. But for dyslexics, I think things could get a lot better, because in the old days, the bad old days or the good old days, depending on how you look at it, for many dyslexics, we could say it was the bad old days because they used to get the cane, used to get shouted at, and even now we probably get shouted at, but it probably won't be as bad. It probably isn't as bad as it used to be, and hopefully in the future people understand more. And if I get to put these ideas into practice, hopefully they'll empower dyslexics all around the world. Number 23. On that note of empowering dyslexics, I would love to know how many people out there would like to support dyslexics in developing nations. I'm thinking of the school I support, the Rare Gem School in Kenya, but I hope to do similar and use that momentum, any success I have in supporting that school. I hope to take to all possible organisations and schools generally across Africa and Asia, Ireland, and Latin America as well, emerging market economies, where they could learn about their dyslexic citizens and hopefully empower them, and maybe even what I call the six generally. But I'd love to know if any people are interested in supporting the Rare Gem School in Kenya. If any people would like to get involved and find out more and see how you could help, please get in touch and let me know, or comment in the comment section. I don't know what happened last time with my YouTubers. I don't know if I didn't I put live in this one and I forgot to go live in that one or something. I don't know. I'm sure it should still have access to my camera. But number 24, as I say, I would love to empower dyslexics all around the world, not just in the UK or not just in one or two countries, but in every possible country. I'd love for people to find out the strengths and positive things about dyslexia, rather than just the weaknesses. But I think there is a place to learn about the weaknesses as well. Number 25, as I say, I'm a bit biased. I normally wish to support republics, but as I mentioned previously, it's a bit of a dilemma because quite a few royals, well, probably quite a few royalists as well, of course, but quite a few royals themselves, like Princess Beatrice. Some say Prince Charles. I don't know if there's any evidence for that. Probably even Prince Harry. I think some people say King Charles is now, of course. Sorry, but I think they say his handwriting's quite poor, so I don't know if he has dyslexia or a related condition or not. I'm not sure if that's just a rumor or it is true. It is genetic, so if Princess Beatrice has dyslexia, possibly Prince Charles might, and I think some say Prince Harry as well. But I don't know if there's any evidence for that. The only one I've heard for sure is dyslexic is Princess Beatrice, and there are some, and most of the Swedish royal family are dyslexic. So that's a bit of a dilemma, as I say, for me, because I'm a Republic supporter. But I suppose I still like to talk about. I don't know if you could call the royals successful, because, well, I mean, they're well off, but have they achieved anything? Or just been born into royalty? I've got to be careful what I say, but I don't want to offend anyone. But I'll say I'm only asking it as a question, but some people might say the royals are successful, or they might admire the royals. But I think like people who are not necessarily born into a family or born wealthy, who have made their wealth, again, I've got to be careful not to offend anyone, especially not my fellow dyslexics, when I'm trying to build a network. With that being said, moving on, number 26, as I say, as an anti-imperialist, combining the two together, as often mentioned, I would love for us to go, once again, to parts of Africa and Asia, and also Ireland, and that's sort of the anti-imperialist in me. But I'd also love to go, as I say, to Latin America to help emerging economies, developing nations to develop. And I suppose the projects I want to work on, my goals are to showcase what dyslexic people can do in a positive and creative way, and it's sort of to carry on the work work with Made by Dyslexia and the Dyslexia Advantage and others, to sort of talk about what they talk about, which is the positive sides of dyslexia, and sort of collaborate, network together, and that kind of thing. And so it's kind of to show that we have certain strengths that can contribute to, as I say, Italian football from a selfish point of view, Celtic FC, and African and Asian nations and that kind of thing. We have creative and out-of-the-box thinking ideas that could help them, and it'd be great for, I think it would benefit nations like Nigeria and Cameroon and Kenya and others. So I want to sort of try and find a way to get in touch with the politicians in those countries. I know some people have been skeptical of the idea, saying that politicians wouldn't listen in those countries, but maybe if there's like a letter-headed letter and we work together, and they get to see the videos. If people from Africa themselves show them the videos of what has been discussed and what conferences have already been already taken place in Sweden and America and the UK, hopefully they'll see that dyslexics do have strengths, and there are many. Hopefully they'll find out the statistics of how many dyslexic millionaires there are. Like there's 20% of the UK millionaires apparently are dyslexic, and 35% in America. So African and Asian nations missing out on our abilities, our unique out-of-the-box thinking abilities, by just focusing on academic performance. Could we contribute to those countries? And I believe we can, and I'm sure other people would agree with me. So I think it'd be great to get a group together, as I say, to go to those nations, as I say, also island and Latin American countries, and to talk about what people can do with dyslexia what people with dyslexia can do once we're encouraged. And again, as an anti-imperialist, I hope to benefit those nations. 27, I also think we should have honours and acknowledgements, awards and rewards and things like that for supporting dyslexic people. I think we should have a list of the top people who have supported dyslexics, Made by Dyslexia and the Dyslexia Advantage, and the Yale Centre for Dyslexia and Creativity, and those other organisations I mentioned, and many others. Certainly those three organisations would be near the top, if not at the top, of the people who have contributed to dyslexics. I'm not sure which one I think is a better organisation. I think they're both almost equally as good. I'd probably give them 90% of 100, or even 99%, because nothing's perfect. But I think they've done some great work on dyslexia. So yeah, I don't know which one I prefer, but it'd be interesting if there could be such a list, and maybe even non-dyslexics who have helped dyslexics, and maybe there could be, as I say, tax incentives for helping dyslexics, because I think whilst there are many positives of dyslexia, there's still too many dyslexics, like in prison, or unemployed or underemployed or struggling. So I think it would be cool to see them do well as well. And I think there should be a reward for like people who invest in dyslexics. It would be cool if they got tax exemptions. 28. And as I often say, I'd love to change the perception of dyslexics and dyslexia. And again, I hope we can benefit Asian and African nations. I hope people from Africa and Asia and Ireland and Latin America find out about dyslexia and talk to their leaders there about the value of dyslexia report, the case for investing in dyslexics, how many dyslexic millionaires or even billionaires there are. It'd be interesting to find out how many dyslexic billionaires there are, and in the future maybe there could be even dyslexic trillionaires. But I know money isn't everything, but hopefully they'll do a lot to help other people as well. Number 29, I'd love to promote more. I'd love to find out also what experiences people from Asian backgrounds, say for instance, have on dyslexia, and how different nationalities and races of people view dyslexia, because some might not have as much awareness as others, and it'd be interesting, I think, to find out. So if Asian families could learn more about dyslexia and related conditions, and maybe treat their children or other people with dyslexia better. I know the Prime Minister of India made a really crude, shall we say, remark, or bad remark, shall we say, about dyslexics, and he used, when someone was asking a question about dyslexia, he used that to take a swipe at his opposition, but that was more, it was seen as quite offensive towards dyslexic people. So it'd be good for people like him to learn about dyslexia and what strengths we do have. And the more people find out about the strengths we have, hopefully the more they'll treat dyslexic students better. And they might say that even if you can't read or write very well, if you can't do certain things very well, you still have other strengths. And number 30, as ever, I'd love to hear from your ideas and thoughts. And hopefully I can improve my videos. I know I sometimes get a bit nervous or stumble on my words. But with that being said, I am out. Peace out.